far behind Matt Wilkinson, and with surfing like that, he could be back in the yellow jersey after this event, Pete Mel.
And I've been watching the other competitors, watching him. That was a performance of the ages, some of the best JBay surfing we've seen ever, in my opinion. And one of the things that we've been noticing about John is that he has been riding a bunch of different boards in his free surfs. A lot of time in the water, but that one there looks like the magic machine.
Okay, well, let's get ready for another big matchup here. Kolohe Andino taking on Italo Ferreira, who continues to improve, returning from injury in Fiji. Leonardo Fioravanti of Italy, he had his best result over in Fiji. Got himself a quarterfinal finish there, so confidence building for these competitors. Kolohe Andino rode one of the waves of the morning before the competition kicked off. And that'll probably help him out a little bit, just getting that read on some bigger walls. We're seeing more swell in the lineup than we had the last few days.
And conditions were optimum this morning, as they are still throughout this day. We're going to see this west-southwest wind, which is perfect offshore. It's going to strengthen, which is just going to make it even more enticing as we take a look at some of the waves that have already been ridden. This is Italo Ferreira. Score's already in at an excellent wave of an 8-point ride. If you look at what he did there at the very beginning of this wave, made sure he maintained his speed from the top of the point as this wave grew down the line. And that first turn was very Aki-esque, you know, who was the past backhand champion, 84. So think about how many years it's been since a backhander has won this event. And I'm sure any backhander would channel that style of surfing out here as we see him just rattle it off. A lot of his best surfing has been done, very similar to what I talked about earlier in the heat, down the line. Or even that for Italo, he was able to get the turns on the outside, so then we're two excellent wave scores. Kolohe Andino, you know, very hard to not just take off on any wave that comes your way. You have to be very patient and wait for those high quality waves. You're only allowed 35 minutes. And you figure you get, what, 2, maybe 3, 4 sets in a heat. So those opportunities, you got to capitalize. Mid-range scores for Kolohe's first.
So Leonardo now gets priority. Hasn't had a wave just yet. But a great start for Italo. Currently in 22nd position. The 23-year-old did miss 3 events due to injury, though. Hurt himself free surfing just after the first event on the Gold Coast. But a really solid return over in Fiji. He actually disposed of Gabriel Medina in the earlier rounds.
That was big, too, considering that it didn't seem like he was 100%. And to take down a big name like that, pretty awesome.
Well, here he is again, looking for the backup number now. Just so swift through those top turns. Loads up again. It won't be an 8-point ride. It won't go near the excellent range, but a decent backup. And it's going to put some pressure on his rivals.
Well, considering where he has been brought up, we talk about the wave that he calls home. He goes right a lot, and that's why his backside is so strong. He is very accustomed to it. He's very solid on his feet. You know, he's a good switch footer, you know, so you can tell he's just balanced throughout his approach from front foot to back foot. That's why he's so good in the air. And again, that's why he's so quick. Plus he is it seems like his lower extremities are so strong. He could probably bench press this entire set. Take a look here again. Good paced wave, lower tide, giving them the ability to get those turns done on the outside. This wave different from his first wave where he was able to get the maneuvers right out of the gates. Again, trying to show some sort of variety here on the back end. Out in the face, attacking the lip, snapping under the lip in the pocket. So he's done that. He's put another pretty good number to back up the 8.
6.33, surfing with a lot of speed. Italo just has that rapid fire approach to surfing, loves to get that up-down rhythm happening. And at JBay, when he starts to come up against some of those specialists out here at this location, he might want to quiet a bit of the noise in between some of those turns and really add some emphasis to those major maneuvers.
Well, you know, you want to, I mean, think about this. You've got 36 of the best surfers in the world here at JBay, and you want you want to set up a point of difference in your approach from the other 35 guys that are in the draw, and that gets the judges' attention. So, what is that in your surfing that you're going to bring to JBay that is going to be a point of difference to get those big scores?
Leonardo currently in 30th position. This is a good opportunity for the 19-year-old, because as far as the rookie class goes, he finds himself in a heat where there really isn't a JBay specialist. Chloe Andino, he's had some good performances here in the past, but his best result, a 9th. Other than that, round 3 exits. And Italo, he hasn't been past the 3rd round. So Leonardo, I think about Federico Moraes and the surfing he did. And I think much like Federico, Leo's got the kind of weapons, those drawn-out calves, that could serve him pretty well on these long walls.
I would agree. I totally agree. And again, you got to look at what your style and approach of surfing is, and what your strengths are, and also what your weaknesses are. And you want to make sure that you improve on those weaknesses, but definitely showcase the strengths.
So plenty of time remaining in Heat 7 of the first round. Mine's kind of reeling from those past couple of heats. We've seen some big performances. John Florence, super impressive. I love the surfing that Connor Coffin put on display for us, causing a bit of an upset there, getting the jump on Jordy Smith. But yeah, impressive stuff.
Well, I think the one thing that John, my opinion, that he brought, he spent a lot of time in this lineup, and he was being very selective in the waves that he rode during the free surfs. And it kind of showed he knew which ones were going to be the gems, and he was on them.
Another thing I picked up on, John's been surfing well, but he hasn't been the standout performer in the free surfing sessions. Equipment. Seen him on some different boards, some different sprayed boards. It looks like he's gone back to an old faithful. And, man, it served him so well. Well,
the chat that I had with him, he knew what he wanted to ride. He was definitely trying out new stuff just to see if there was something there that he could bring. But he knew the trusty board that he was going to bring, especially when the size came up. I mean, a lot of that board needs some juice for it to be, truly the one he wants to put under his feet. And, it's a bit juicier today. And sure enough, when he had all that speed, he's the only guy that could probably, I'd say that. There's lots of guys who can hold the speed, but he's most comfortable on that board with all that speed to really, truly lay into those turns. And it showed. It truly showed, especially live. I mean, we can watch it replay after replay, but when you're watching it live, you're like, wow.
I don't think you need to pull back on that comment, Pete. I think you can roll with it. No one can cope with speed the way John Florence does. He can go as fast as he wants in those frontside wraps and really maintain that arc. As we see Italo once again. So keep him busy now, trying to get rid of a 6.33 with this wave. It's a little sleepy at the moment, but it might stand up through the inside here. Let's see what kind of damage he can do. So strong. Did get a chance to have a chat with him prior to the event kicking off. He said his ankle was back to 100%, so some good rehab between contests as we see Leonardo tucking into the barrel. He's going to have to get going to find an exit on this one. He gets chomped inside. Just under 21 minutes to go, and well, you'd have to say a poor use of priority there, because he's not going to convert that ride into a decent number, and he did wait a while.
Hey, it's tough. When you're holding on to that top priority, you feel like you need to be on the biggest wave, and that looked like a bigger wave. You can see he's had to paddle hard too. He missed it, so actually that was it. And then Kolohe missed it, and then sure enough, Italo says, thank you very much. And, again, he picked up, and you talk about keeping busy. When you see a wave like that and you're in third priority, you're not going to give it up. This wave did hit a little bit of fat water as it moved off the top of the shallow water, but then loads up again. And this is the type of surfing that Italo, if he can do this 4 or 5 times in a row, we're going to see excellent numbers. He laughed. That was good. I like that.
Was that Salt Bay?
That was...
I think it might have been.
Oh, it was awesome. Take again, underneath. Those backside snaps, where you can keep that head below the hips, that's loaded up. That's the way you carry speed through the maneuver, through the top. As you see, that's a beautiful claim there. Little flick. What'd you call that?
It's that viral clip, isn't it? JBay, the chef.
Yeah.
Here we go. Numbers coming through for Italo, looking good. Here's the replay of Leonardo's ride from the top.
So again, this wave had the foam in the face, so not able to super engage until here. There's the best turn of this wave. Nice attacking of the lip here, but this is where it runs off. If he'd been able to really find that barrel, complete that ride, you would have seen him probably put upwards into the good, close to excellent. But instead, just the finish not that as strong. And Italo is going to prove on a number here.
Impressive stuff from Italo. I don't think competitors, when they get injured early on in the season, they like to maybe just bank on the fact that they might be a recipient of a wild card next year. I think even if you miss an event due to injury, you miss a few events due to injury, you still have to do your best to get into the top 22. We saw it last season. There was a lot of surfers who missed events due to injury, but with Owen Wright, B. Durbridge, recovering and on track to make a return to competition, they got a little concerned. They backed themselves. They surfed as hard as they could. They got on the QS. Jack Freestone comes to mind. He missed some CT events due to injury, but was good enough on the qualifying series to maintain a place on the championship tour.
Mick knew how important that was too for his own requalification hopes, is that he knew he wasn't going to surf all season, yet he still was able to make himself into that top 22 by surfing, just over half the season. So good job for Mick to not have to ask for any special help. He did it all on his own.
Just done 18 minutes to go. Our very own Strider Wasilewski caught up with Italo to talk about his backhand approach here at JBay just prior to the contest. Let's hear what he had to say.
Down here with Italo Ferreira. Italo, you're coming back off injury. You feeling healthy?
Yeah, I'm feeling good. I think 100%. And yeah, I'm here in JBay, I'm so happy to be back and to surf this rides, and it's amazing, It's a good morning, and I think it's going to be fun out there.
What is it that everybody's got a smile on their face when they come here?
I don't know. I think the place is amazing, And always the guys come here every single year. The guys always happy, because the place is so beautiful and the food is so good. The people, it's amazing, And that's the feeling,
And talk to me a little bit about backhand surfing out here at JBay. What's the recipe going to be to win?
I love surfing the backhands, especially here in JBay, but it's so hard to goof, because I know, try surfing fast, it's so fast because the wave is like fast always, and then to try some floaters and all maneuvers to all the way, and yeah, it's always hard to surf in this wave, but I try and I train a lot the few days ago, and yeah, I hope to get some few waves on the comp.
Well, we can't wait to see it, and thanks for your time. Good luck in the event.
Yeah, thanks so much. Morning, guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks, bro.
Italo doing very well out here at the moment in the first round. His last wave came through at a 7.27. So turning the heat up on Chloe Andino and Leonardo Fioravanti at the moment. Both those surfers basically looking to reset. They're surfing a 16-minute heat now, chasing a two-wave total of 15.28.
The added pressure of having to be able to get themselves up to that 15.2 range. Looking at Italo, no strapping at all on his feet. So talking about being 100%, that shows that confidence in my eyes, because ankles are a lurking serious injury that can hang on a pike where you can walk around, but surfing can be a little bit of an ache, but he's looking good, looking solid.
Yeah, it's not propaganda when there's no strapping there. Sometimes I feel like the competitors are trying to convince everyone, judges included, that they are at 100% when they're actually not.
It's interesting to me, but a lot of guys will keep injuries secret.
Yeah.
And I guess as athletes, that's part of it. You don't want to lead on too much and give away too much.
You don't want the panel to have the impression you're maybe holding back on sections, but here we go. Italo up again, stalling, just dragging his body in the wall of this wave, finds some cover. This thing's starting to pinch though. He's somewhere in there. And he won't find the exit. Andino up now. Nice pullback shot, just showing that stretched out wall. As the man they call brother goes to the rail. And he doesn't like what he sees down the line here, that wave. One of those sidewinders was kind of tapering off as well.
Sometimes those feel like those are the waves you want to be on, though. I mean, I understand that because you know it's going to have great pace, but at the lower tide today, you don't want it to have too much of that going on, which is what happened on that one.
Just over 14 minutes remaining here in Heat 7. Let's hear from, well, the man to beat at the moment, John Florence, with the performance of the contest so far with Rosie Hodge.
Wow, John Florence throwing away 9s in that heat. It must have been pretty special. The conditions are just absolutely firing.
Oh my gosh, the waves are firing, and I think this is the best JBay I've ever surfed in, like, during a contest, and it's really fun. It's a whole nother wave being out there with no one out. It's crazy. You can position yourself like just exactly where you want to be on the wave, taking off, and you just have this big open canvas in front of you. It's pretty amazing.
And something that surprised me this year is you yet to drop a 10. Has that surprised you at all?
No, I don't know. I must be doing something not exactly right. I guess there's room for improvement.
Or does that also just make you want to work harder while you're surfing? I mean, to everyone else, it's just so flawless.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's probably some things I could have done on my waves. I don't know exactly what my last wave was. Like, it's really hard to hear out there, so I didn't hear exactly all the scores, but I was just trying to surf my best on those waves, and I was having a lot of fun.
And one of those performances that we were so impressed with was Margaret River. We know that you're surfing, you know, a kind of modeled down version of the board that you surfed to victory there. Just tell us about your quiver.
Yeah, it's called a Ghost, and I rode a 6.2 at Margaret River, and I've been riding a 6.0 here. And since we started working this board, I really haven't found a wave that it doesn't work at yet, and so it's kind of my new favorite board.
And how fun is that? I mean, coupled with conditions like this, a board that you absolutely love, that's really got to inspire you.
So much, you know, like our first day I got here, me and Ross were walking down and I kind of rode on my first day. I was like, wow, this board's insane out here. And it just gives you so much confidence through all the practice surfs. You're not trading off boards and trying to find a good board. You kind of have that confidence already on a good board.
All right, John, thank you for your time. We can look forward to seeing you round 3.
Thank you, Rosie. John Florence looking so good. It's a great question, wasn't it?
Yeah.
How he feels about not getting a 10-point
I'll
ride
tell you,
this year. I thought he was going to drop one in that last heat.
Well, if he stopped the 2 last moves of the waves, his 9s. Well, he had 3 of them, but the first 2 9s. Had he stomped the last maneuvers, I think it was kind of at that point. It was like, to me, it felt like, yeah, that's a 10. But since he didn't, I questioned it. It's got to be perfect. That's why it's a perfect 10, right? You can't fall.
Well, that's.
It has. I've seen 10s.
You know what is interesting? It's often that you hear the judges saying it's not about, you don't get punished. They say you don't get punished when you fall. If you've done enough damage, if you've collected the 10 points already, it shouldn't matter if you fall on the last.
No, but I think that for me, just in order
there was a little bit of room there.
Yeah, I mean, so start to finish, I like to look at this wave as a wave that you bring start to finish. And that stumble at the end.
I like that.
Had me having a 9.67 in my book.
I do feel like John, maybe like Kelly at different stages through his career, has caught fire so much so that he almost rips himself off in some ways.
Yeah.
Because the judges have to leave a little bit of room for something truly remarkable that could happen in that heat. And it, you know, I've heard people say essentially a 20-point heat is a mistake on behalf of the judges, because if you've maxed out, if you've had a 10 and then you do something better, and there's no room in the scale, then.
But I believe there's a perfect heat to be surfed, and I like the fact that there is a few of those out there.
I like that.
Yeah, I mean,
and I think that John can improve at this location. West Oz, he should have had a 10-point ride in that event.
Probably.
The surfing he was doing.
Probably. But
definitely.
You know what? That just keeps him fired up. So thanks, judges. He's got more improvement, right?
He looks sharp, that's for sure.
I love how he said that he knows what board he's going to ride, but I seriously saw him every time on a different board out there. So he said that his first ride out here on that 6.0 Ghost was the one.
He might just be looking for the good backup now.
Yeah, no, that's exactly it, right? He knew that was the board he was going to ride. You know, and he tried other stuff, but that 6.0 Ghost right there.
He's going to leave it there?
Who's going to go out there and try and grab it? Maybe I will. Actually, I think it's not big enough for me.
That board has its own security guard.
It's its own bodyguard.
Just over 9.5 minutes remaining. And Italo still out in front. A healthy heat score total, 15.27. And really, the turning point in this heat was that 7.27. That was a wave that both Kolohe and Leonardo tried to scrap into. And Italo was just well positioned on the inside. And, well, he surfed it very well. He made them pay for that error, that positioning error.
Well, it's what put this heat into combo. And you're now under that 10-minute mark. You start thinking about the time between sets. It's about every, 6 to 8 minutes. So you figure there's really only true one opportunity. And when you've got a combo going this late in the heat, it feels good.
I thought John brought up an interesting point in his post-heat interview. He mentioned that it's like a completely different lineup when you're only enjoying it with two other people. And I think that's where the experience comes into play, because often if you're out there and it's very crowded, the crowd kind of actually puts you in the spot, or because you're looking for the inside, you might move to a different position. Once that lineup's empty and the set waves start rolling, if you don't know
where to be,
the ultimate place to sit, you're going to find yourself out of position. And we've seen that a few times with the less experienced surfers today.
I would agree. And I think that John, he understands how important lineups can be. And one of the things that he was doing was focusing on where he was sitting in the lineup in order to pick up those best quality waves. You know, even though it's a little bit smaller during that period of time, there's still definitely some similarities you can pick up when it's bigger.
8 minutes remaining in Heat 7 of Round 1 here at the Corona Open JBay. Italo Ferreira leads. Welcome back to the Corona Open JBay. Heat 7 of Round 1 unfolding. Italo Ferreira out in front with a heat score total of 15.27. Kolohe Andino and Leonardo Fioravanti, a lot of work to do to track him down, but a little bit of time on the clock, 6 minutes remaining, and some waves approaching. And this one looks really nice, stretching out. A lot of wall to work with for Leonardo, and he digs in hard on that first move, up into the pocket again. A really nice pace wave with a lot of workable face. And the Italian, almost catches a rail there, but recovers. Whipping his board through some very nice turns here. A real leg burner this ride. Multiple maneuvers, bringing it right through to the inside. Opts not to finish as the reef exposes itself on the inside there. But there was some major moves laid down on that outside section.
The CB1, Christian Bradley, one of his designs that he has perfected. It's made for really good waves, and you can see that he is very confident in carrying that speed and doing beautiful arcs just like that, Leo Fioravanti. Beautiful combination of major moves, good sized set wave. This is going to be his best ride so far. Just unfortunate there. You know, that was a little bit of a dig, so a little bit of an error. Judges will take note of that. and it will affect the scoreline. You know, he didn't go quite for that finish, just went for the kick out instead. Although, if you look, the rocks were right there. So good move, saving the fins.
It started off so well, that ride, but you're right. Once he went into layback mode and had to recover, he didn't really finish the way he would have liked. But a 6.07, not a bad number. It breaks combination, and Leo now needs to get himself a 9.2 to jump into the lead. Kolohe, he's still in a bit of trouble out there at the moment. He's got priority, but he's going to have to make a move very soon. Haven't seen too many heats turned in the final stages today.
Doesn't seem that kind of wave, does it? You know, you need to be pretty much build momentum through in each and every heat, you know, through the 30 minutes. Whereas those buzzer beaters, you just don't, you know, it's too long to paddle, like no such thing, right? You can't get back up there real quick.
You can definitely get yourself a buzzer beater wave if you're chasing just something, you know, 10 points or under. But combinations are hard to turn around here because judges really like to see you taking off at the top, up there near the top of the point and riding right through to the inside. You don't see people bank too many excellent scores or even scores in the very good range from the halfway mark.
And it's different too because we don't have jet ski assist. So you don't get that opportunity to just jump on the ski, go all the way around and get dropped off at the top of the point, a la Bells. Also, Gold Coast, again, you get jet ski assist.
Cloud break.
Yeah, cloud break. You get dropped off the top. And so you can make a quick turnaround. Here, you're paddling out, and if you're going to see a set, you whip it, you're taking off halfway out. So it's a little bit different. This is definitely one of those events that physical part of it comes into it in a big way.
Yes, situations like this where there's 3 minutes on the clock, we're in Tahiti, for example, a surfer can break an 18-point combination with 2 rides in 3 minutes. At Jeffries, it doesn't happen.
No, easy. It's because you're so quick. It's such a compact, very intense wave. You could just literally get spit out into the channel, paddle out 30 seconds later, get the same thing, get yourself into position, boom, get spit out, there you are. Here, not such the case. You know, you're going to have to ride the wave from top to the bottom of the point and then paddle all the way back. I mean, it's more of a 4 or 5 minute turnaround.
So that might put Kolohe and Dino out of this heat. Leonardo's still got a shot, but he is going to be struggling because Italo's going to hold priority over him. He's going to have that control. He's usually pretty smart with his priority choices. A late bloomer as far as coming on the scene and qualifying, Italo, but just a revelation since he joined the tour.
He brought a freshness, in my opinion. You know, I think that, I mean, I was hearing some stories about first experiences with Italo in the lineup. And, you know, he came on, and I remember that first year he was on the QS. All those guys on the QS going, watch this guy. He is gnarly. And he was doing backflips, and he was, again, really so sure-footed that his style of surfing on the QS, it matched. And we didn't know if that was going to be the case coming here to the championship tour because the waves are so much different. But you know what? He proved all of us that he's one to watch here, especially his rookie year. You know, and it's unfortunate he had the injury at the beginning of this season, but he's looking in form now.
Yeah, Medina has that similar stance, that boxier kind of stance, but Italo's is maybe even more pronounced. It's like he's in bindings on a snowboard.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, and he's not like anywhere he's leaning forward or leaning back. It's always very centered.
Yeah, but amazing, just the rapid growth in his surfing, and we do see that pretty regularly when surfers join the championship tour. They're at a certain level, at the QS level, and then amongst the presence of the top 34, that they just come on.
Well, you can draw inspiration. I mean, you start surfing with the best guys in the world. I wanted to ask you, though, real quick, in regards to, like, momentum in an event, do you feel like the first round, you know, you had those first performances right out of the gates, like what we saw? I mean, it was kind of different from what we saw at John. He didn't have that round 1 performance that was crazy because we were at North Point. But once we got to main break, it was all about John and what his momentum was carried. You know, could you see that kind of happening here?
Well, Italo, he's going to take the victory here in Heat 7 of Round 1. An impressive performance over Kolohan. Dino. Very solid stuff. We're going to take a quick break. More action from Round 1 coming your way in just a moment. Stay with us. Welcome back. Dreamy conditions here on day one of competition for the Corona Open JBay. And we have the 11-time world champ, Kelly Slater, hitting the lineup now. Up against Julian Wilson and Kanoa Igarashi. This should be a fantastic battle. Kanoa down the back end of the ratings, having a tough go of it in 2017. Kelly Slater started the year so well, the quarterfinal finish, but he's had nothing but 13th since then. Julian Wilson, he's had moments, but also, you'd have to say, underachieving at the moment. During the break, Slater had this right.
Slater, look at this crease come up underneath this wave. Slows up, but you know what that means? Double up. And sure enough, Slater read it. And look at this. Finds the barrel. And then finds it again. And he is so deep. There's no way. Is he going to make it? Yes, he does. The crowd goes bananas. And Slater, the showman, once again. Gotta love this, though. As you see again, this replay, you know, the outside move, that was all right, but he sees the double up, and that's that sand. You can see the sand on the reef, but look at this. I mean, this second section here doesn't look like it's makeable, and somehow Slater finds it and was able to get out of it. Gotta love this this section here, the super tube section, the impossible section. That was impossible, but he does it.
Unbelievable. An incredible ride. Leonardo Fioravanti still on the inside. This is maybe my favourite moment.
Oh, sorry.
He's left hanging. Goes the high five and misses it completely.
It's all right, Leo. Slater still loves you.
Slater, that was pretty remarkable how deep he was in that tube. No, long considered the greatest barrel rider of all time. Still, I think, evolving in that area. It's sort of the one part of your surfing that you can continue to grow. The more knowledge you get of waves and what they do within once they start barreling like that.
Also
really
with
work in
equipment.
your favor.
Yeah, with equipment too. You know, he's one that will always try and refine that. You see Kanoa here had this early stage of this wave filled with foam. Able to negotiate it pretty well, but I don't think he finds any green water. So always battling all those potholes and gravel and everything that's on the road, and Slater finding the barrel gun.
Looking for a backup now, a 9.1 on his first wave, pulling into the barrel once again. just having a field day in the opening parts of this heat. Love that frontside turn too, just blasting the tail through the lip after he exited the tube. So this will be a pretty reasonable backup number, you'd think. Julian Wilson's been pretty quiet in this heat so far, just a throwaway score of 0.5. And there's going to be some pressure early on.
Well, you know, Slater he's one of the few that I think openly, truly surfs against other surfers in the draw, not just in his heat. I think he'll draw inspiration from John's performance. You know, we've seen that work in the past for him to kind of draw motivation and go, you know what, okay, John, you're doing that, watch me. And he's already started off. I mean, those weren't even set waves, and he's getting himself 9-point rides. So if he can get himself on a solid set wave, it could be exciting.
I think I know what you're saying too. It's almost like if there isn't really a storyline to the heat and Kelly doesn't feel pushed by a rival that's out there in the water, sometimes you don't see his best. But up against Julian Wilson and Kanoa Igarashi, who he's obviously enjoyed watching come through the ranks, I think he's going to be very inspired for this matchup.
Totally agree. And I love that. You talk about that front side turn, that snap. He's able to really lay into the very beginning of it, and somehow he's able to cut it short, knowing that he has to get down the line quicker and still be able to come back over his board with balance and get into the bottom turn, so it doesn't feel like it's a shortened turn. It's like almost like he compresses into the maneuver and then he straights into a bottom turn, and there's not a lot of guys that can do that type of maneuver.
And he's up again, having a look at this one on the inside. I think he got a little caught up in that one, but Kelly just loving these dreamy conditions here at JBay today. A 7 on his second ride.
You'd also have to say that the conditions would inspire him as well. I mean, he's been watching all morning, staying down the point, watching up, probably watching the broadcast as well at the same time. I mean, that's what makes this place so cool, is at this point so long that I think everybody who stays here for this event has beachfront view of the place, you know, whether you're at the top of the point or the bottom. But again, you know, you start to get so amped up, it would almost be a challenge to not over froth when you see the waves as pumping as they are right now.
Always a big reaction for the South African surfers in the draw, but Kelly Slater always draws a big crowd down on the beach whenever he hits the lineup. Sean Thompson watching on. What did you make of the 9.1, Sean?
Yeah, I thought there was a really good wave through that impossible section. I think Kelly's boards have really changed over the last couple of years. I think his boards are really fast along the face. He's maybe sacrificed a little bit of on the rail predictability, but certainly along the face and then through the tube, they're incredibly fast. You can see him here, just read that wave, just stalling, very, very relaxed, very tight to the wall. He almost has a supernatural ability to like slow down time and contort his body into those tight tubes, and then comes out and, you know, you never see Kelly claim, and he throws down that claim out there, and that's a classic. So that's quite a rarity to see that from Kelly. So that was through the impossible section. When I first started surfing here in 1968, we only surfed way down at the bottom at the section called the Point. About 3 years later, we started surfing a little bit further up at a place called Tubes, and then eventually we migrated up to Supers and Impossibles because we thought this section was too fast, too close to the rocks, impossible to surf, and that's why that section of the wave was called Impossibles, but certainly not impossible for Kelly Slater.
I love it. I love that talk that Sean dove into there, Pete, just in regard to Kelly, maybe sacrificing a bit of manoeuvrability out on the open face. No one has ever questioned his barrel riding ability, and if every wave on tour was a barrel, he might have a lot more world titles, but in recent times, out on the open face, wins have been a little bit harder to come by.
Well, and he's, you know, again, there's the, you know, the epoxy versus poly story, you know, the styrofoam cores, which is what he's been using as of late, you know, and he's working on that with the epoxy resins and carbons to be able to develop flex patterns that is the future. It really, truly is the future. So he's at the forefront of it in his equipment. But again, it's so alive and so, you know, gives itself a heartbeat. That's why he's so attracted to it, you know, and it gives him an extra, like, he's, you know, he's 44 years old, right? So, you know, he's got to try and keep that youthful exuberance, you know, that equipment will help him.
Always looking to evolve. Kanoa Igarashi had a 3.67 on his first wave. He was really just trying to survive that wave. It wasn't one that he was able to enjoy. It was a messy face that had a lot of foam. And, well, he did well just to notch a 3.67, but that's going to mean nothing at the end of this heat, that score, because Kelly Slater well out in front, and Kanoa and Julian both chasing a two-wave total of 16.11. Talking about Kelly and his manoeuvres on the Gold Coast, it just looked like he was clicking with his equipment, and he was laying down some really good turns, getting through heats in tricky conditions. And I think that there was a really good indication that he was going to go on to a pretty good result early on in that contest. And I think we're seeing potentially that same scenario unfolding here. We've seen him lay down some big moves already. If you took the barrels away, there's still some quality surfing being done by Slater.
I totally agree. And again, conditions are part of the element there. I mean, if you're looking at the forecast, I think that's going to give him drive and inspiration to do well, so he could just keep surfing these heats. I think the crowds were here on a weekend. He uses that energy to inspire himself. You know, so I think when we have seen him lose, it's been in, you know, those conditions that you're kind of like, you know, it's like not something that he would be super inspired by. So he's always searching for those moments. I mean, he's surfed so many heats in his life. Here at JBay, here at in Tahiti or in Cloudbreak, he has to find that kind of inspiring stuff to keep him motivated. I mean, shoot, like I said, 44 years old. It's you know, competition is so much that you need. Sometimes you need more. But he's good at finding it, whether it's equipment, rivalries, conditions.
23 minutes remaining in this one. Slater out in front by a long way. Well, let's check in with the winner of the last heat, Italo, with Rosie.
Well, Italo, our first goofy footer to make it out of round one. Give us, you know, the goofy footer's perspective out here at Super Tubes.
Yeah, I'm so happy, you know. It's pretty fun out there, and I get some few good waves, and I did the big turns, and you know, it's so hard to surf this wave, especially in goofy footers, you know, because you need to go in fast, you know. And then I did in the last heat, and yeah, I'm so happy, and I just enjoy, and yeah.
And do you watch people like past performances like Aki out here at Super Tubes to draw inspiration?
Yeah, I'm watching Aki and Jody, and especially Mick. Nick is the best guy surfing this wave, I think, and then he going so fast, and then I like that, and then yeah.
It's the best thing for us because every time the surfers get out of the water, they just have the biggest smile on their faces. The waves today are incredible.
Yeah, today it's incredible, you know. I think it's the best condition ever, you know, and I'm so happy to be out there with two guys and catch a lot of waves.
Italo, thank you for your time and well done.
Thank you, Rosie. Italo continues to impress, making his return from injury. But out there in the lineup, we've just seen Julian Wilson take his first decent ride, throwing down a couple of turns. This is going to be a memorable trip to South Africa for Julian, no matter what happens. Acing the 17th over at the Cape St. Francis Links just a few days back.
Well, it's funny, we played yesterday and we got to the 17th. We're all channeling our inner Julian, trying to get ourselves to feed to the hole. Yeah.
A couple of quadruple bogeys.
Yeah, well, I sent mine left. Anyway, but yeah, that's his first ace, and that's, I mean, he's a pretty avid golfer.
Pretty impressive stuff. But you know what? I think it will actually fill him with confidence. Ever since then, he's just been beaming his way around the contest site. He looks so content, so happy, and
well,
some free surfing footage we saw from him yesterday was, you know, nothing short of mind-blowing. So expecting big things from Wilson in this contest.
Well, like I said, he's got the family here, mom's here, been watching, so that's always good. You know, he stays comfortable. But watch this. I mean, he surfs really well on this wave. You know, again, carrying that speed on the top of the point as this wave starts to slow up. Beautiful arc. He's able to mix it up in a big way here. Look at that steeper section. Connected with the lip, and then back to the open face, gets some release. Just not able to get that final maneuver there on the inside impossible section. but a pretty good start to him. If you look at his finishes here, has been able to do pretty well.
Well, 2015, that was the big one. Second, you know, everyone was saying Mick was in unbeatable form. The year with the shark incident in the final. But Julian Wilson would probably beg to differ. You know, he started that final aggressively. He looked great.
Well, he had like
that was the only wave we really saw ridden, wasn't it?
Yeah, no, I was gonna say if they stopped it there, he won the final. But nope, we ended up finishing in the equal second for both Mick and Julian.
He was unbelievable in the wash-up too with that scenario. First of all, paddling towards Mick when the incident was unfolding. Head down, paddling as hard as he could to get to Fanning. A lot of people would have paddled the other way.
Oh, I'd say.
But when we got up to the commissioner's office and the decisions were being made, you know, that it was a tough thing, a big hurdle for Mick to try and overcome and to say, will you go back out and surf the final? The commissioner basically put it to the competitors. Mick obviously said, no, I'm not going back out there. And Julian said, whatever Mick wants to do. So, you know, he handled it really well.
Sure did.
It was a critical point in the year for Julian. He'd had 3 finals. So, yeah, had to count another second.
Well, that's that kind of event that, you know, there was a season that he was kind of truly, at that point, in title contention, right? I mean, so to make that decision, yeah, again, it was, you know, he's been through quite a bit. You know, he's learned a lot through his career already.
Well, let's talk about his title chances this year. Hasn't had the greatest start to the year, Julian Wilson. Do you think he can turn it around?
Well, it's at this point right now. I mean, this event, he's had great results in the past, quarterfinals, semis, a final. He had the one hiccup. But there's his seasonal, you know, the ninths. I mean, right now you look at, so he's already going to be carrying 2 ninths as a title contender. That's tough. I mean, it's got to be finals pretty much from here on out.
I think at this point, he's still got a shot, but he's got to catch fire from here, and he can't afford to slip up in these earlier rounds.
Yeah, it's about semis. It's semis and finals for 4 or 5 events. 4 events more, at least.
The top 2, Matt Wilkinson, John Florence, they're hanging on to, well, they're in a situation now where if they bow out, they're going to be hanging on to every result from here on in, but they're both holding on to some pretty rough results at this stage of the game. In equal 3rd position, we've got a number of competitors who are banking on a 9th, or still have really a throwaway up their sleeve. So Julian's not out of it at this stage.
Well, you look at, I mean, even outside of that top 5, you've got a guy like Joel who really has actually been round 5 and above, right? He really hasn't had any of those real true 13ths yet. So there's one guy that is kind of in a great position. But look what's coming up next. Talk about backsiders. This kid's been on point.
He's been the best backhander here at JBay in 2017. Just surgical out there. Such a good read on this wave, Adrian Buchan. He's got a good heat. He's up against Jack Freestone. And Connor O'Leary is well and truly in control of that rookie race at the moment.
I'm sure you'd make it down there. Yeah. Good luck, buddy.
Make sure you're down there for my backup board, please.
Well, here we go. Lines approaching. Julian Wilson had a 7-17 on his last ride. He's chasing an 8.94 here to get himself into the lead. But Slater uses his priority over Wilson and digs in on that first turn. Looking amped at the moment. Nice little projection float to set up this little pocket jam. Drives up into the lip once again. Drifts the tail. Kelly looking for a big finish on the inside. Puts his board above the lip. That offshore wind takes care of it.
Well, that's the one thing I think about the EPS, that poly cores are at slower speeds. You're able to get that kind of quick pop. You know, like his bottom turns, he didn't have a lot of projection out of the bottom, and his bottom turns carrying all that speed. But once he got to the lip, he showed us a pretty cool and different style of turn. So Kelly, he adjusting, and he's only been solely riding these types of boards. So it's been, he's getting used to it. He's understanding his equipment and his flex patterns. You take a look here at this replay, utilizing the priority, taking it over, and beautiful hooking snap. I mean, that is trademark Slater. Right there, you see him bite into that turn, but doesn't have a ton of speed through the lip, but there it is, the release. Getting a bit of variety. One more time. Stumbled a little bit, but kept it going. And then there, aerials are tough when you've got the wind blowing this hard here.
Here we go, back to live action. Julian Wilson with a nice looking wall. It just comes up under that lip, goes down. 14.5 minutes to go.
Oh, he got popped right there by the lip.
See the start of that ride in a moment. But Slater surfing with plenty of spark at the moment.
A bit inspired. I like it. And I think that's where we can see the best of Slater, is when he is driven by whatever those internal energy is. We love watching it. He's such a showman. As we watch the replay here, beautiful searing arc there. That's the kind of surfing we want to see him combine together. Get a couple maneuvers there, but see is adjusting his foot off the bottom, so he didn't get the projection out of the bottom turn. It would have given him the opportunity to get above the lip. You see his foot, I don't know if it was just a subtle little slip, but either way, he was late getting there. So he just gets a bit of a bop from JBay, but he'll be right back out there.
Julian's actually been rocking that Slater-inspired spray on his boards too, from Kelly Black and White, that old Trestles Vision. Those Channel Islands boards with that coloured spray down the rails. Little nod to Kelly and what might be his final year. But 13 minutes remaining here, and Slater banks a 7.17, so moves further ahead. Julian Wilson, though, a couple of waves back, he broke that combination. He's now after a 9.11. Kanoa Igarashi, with a lot of work to do, needs a two-wave total of 16.28.
Well, Julian, identical score to Slater's backup. So you would say that he's capable of getting a 9+ ride easily. It's just a matter of, we haven't seen actually one of those bigger sets yet either in this heat. So again, you look at comparisons throughout the 9.10 barrel, amazing barrel, but it wasn't on a major set wave. So if Julian can find himself on a nice solid set wave and put together a few of those turns that he's done already in this heat, I would say that he's definitely capable of catching Slater.
Earlier on, Pete, we had Sean Thompson, who joins us on the commentary panel for this event, talking about just the different approaches. He was talking about Jeremy Flores and his surfing. Jeremy had a really beautiful ride in his heat, but he was saying between those major turns, Jeremy sort of double pumping his bottom turn, and that's just his take on this wave. Kelly Slater, he's always had that big drawn-out bottom turn that he can go to, but I noticed on that last ride, maybe it's the equipment, I'm not sure, but seemed less concerned with drawing out the bottom turn and more intent in just having that extra spark and speed off the top.
I would agree totally. And I think that, again, that's just the ode to his equipment and what he's doing with it now.
Here goes Kanoa. Well, let's see what he can do. He's waited a while for this second ride. There's a nice hit. Draws out a beautiful carve there. So putting this wave together pretty well at the moment. The youngster in the lineup at the moment. A couple of decent maneuvers strung together right through to the inside. Linking it right through to that shallow inside before kicking out. Just under 11 minutes to go. Where do you see that wave going, Pete?
I think it's right out there. I mean, if he's looking at trying to get himself out of combo, it needs to be at least a 6.27 or higher to do that. I think it's right there. I think the size of wave hindered a little bit of the potential of the score. I really like how Kanoa stays so low to his equipment, very similar to what we see from Julian Wilson, but always crouched for action. Mid-size set wave. See him adjusting and setting up, that turn there. A little bit different, you know, arcing. I think he's carrying a little bit of speed better there. You know, I think there's adjustments that are happening.
I mean, you've seen plenty of this guy surfing, and it's just an observation, but maybe you've got some intel. Has he gone to a longer board? Because sometimes here at Jeffrey's, competitors will just look for some added drive to draw out those rail turns.
Yeah, well, he's one, you know, with the Channel Islands team, he's not scared to ride all types of different rockers and models throughout his career. Very different from what we see from an Adriano de Souza that solely rides one design. You know, the Rook, he'll ride Tilos, he'll ride, you know, all of the different models that Channel Islands carry. So yeah, he's not scared to try different equipment and hone that equipment to the spot.
To me, it maybe looks like he's on a bit of a step up, which could serve him very well if we see some decent size waves roll in. But at the moment, it's medium-sized waves. It looks like Kelly's got the right board under his feet. He just has a little bit more spark in his turns.
I think that's kind of what it is that when you start riding a little bit longer board, you know, you sacrifice a tiny bit of that quickness and speed in and out of the transition of the moves where you get, but you do gain those longer arcs. And that's always nice to see at JBay. But it's kind of, I think that the true secret is being able to have the combination of both. You know, not leaning one way too far or looking too, you know, quick and spicy out of your turns. You want to kind of have both.
8.5 minutes remaining. Slater out in front. Julian chasing a 9.11. Kanoa needing a two-way total of 16.28 here in Heat 8 of Round 1. Welcome back to the Corona Open JBay. Here are the greatest out here in this lineup. In the event's history, Kelly Slater, 4 wins at the championship tour level. Also had a victory in a specialty event here. Mick Fanning, what a track record he's had, especially these past 3 years. 2 wins from 3 events. Also had that incomplete final in 2015. Geordie Smith went back-to-back, 2010, 2011. And Joel Parkinson won here as a wild card, Pete. Came back 10 years later and got the job done once again.
And here we are in 2017, and we're still calling those top 4 surfers the ones to watch at this event. And it's a special wave. There's special surfers that win it. Those are the 4 that are the guys. So you got to be surfing similar to them if you want to win this event.
Well, rare to not see all 4 of those competitors progress directly through to the 3rd round. We saw Joel in the first heat of round 1 get the win. It looked like Joel just basically took his foot off the gas and just kind of rolled through that heat. Geordie Smith had a bit of a hiccup. He just got, I think, out-surfed by a super aggressive Connor Coffin. Kelly Slater, a good shot at making the jump past round 2. Here at the moment, leading this exchange. Julian Wilson he's still in it, needs a 9.11, but Kanoa still comboed. His last wave came through at a 5.1, so he has work to do. Just over 5 minutes to go.
It's interesting because that score, you thought that maybe, at least for me, you know, it could have gone into the good range, but you know, it just didn't. It lacked a little bit of that spark, and the judges take note of it. Only receiving a 5.10, that might be a little frustrating for Kanoa if you would have heard that. You know, you felt like he probably surfed that way pretty good. And then to receive a 5.1, you're like, I'm thinking that I might need to rethink some of my equipment choices or whatever it's going to take to get himself into the excellent range.
My mind was kind of going back to Ethan Ewing's heat where he had sort of the combination of really beautiful, smooth, flowing turns.
You had the zest.
But then maybe just didn't have that high impact critical maneuver, and I think that's the difference at the moment. Kanoa, multiple turns, but not one single turn that you kind of, I don't know, got excited about.
That's what I'm saying. It's the zest, like that, you know, where you're like, you can just see a little bit of the crispness, you know, the adjective you're trying to find, but just it lacked it slightly in that one.
Just over 4 minutes to go, and something very exciting coming your way this afternoon. Once we complete this first round at 4:15 local time, we'll be having a Facebook Live exclusive heat called the Corona Highline, featuring Sebastian Zeitz, Connor Coffin, Matt Wilkinson, and Geordie Smith. And they'll all be surfing on locally shaped boards made by Hugh Thompson from Natural Curve. And maybe the best part of this is that heat will be judged by you, the fans. So make sure you're tuned in to World Surf League's Facebook page at 4:15 this afternoon once this first round is completed. We won't be going into the second round today, but it's going to be very fun to watch those 4 competitors take this place apart.
On some Hugh Thompson equipment, and you saw it's going to be some unique equipment as well. It's not going to be traditional style surfboards. It's going to be a little bit unique. So that'll be neat too. There'll be some different lines being drawn. Different
lines, and I think the other thing that you can keep in mind is you're not judging necessarily to the criteria of the CT. If style's your thing, if you're big on that, well, you can make that call yourself. You can throw some points the way of the competitors, your favorite style. But don't miss it. It's going to be really fun because...
But I would ask, at least, you know, judge the, not just because of who you think's cutest. You can do that, but, you know, let's judge the event for what it is. Who got the best waves.
Who would win that?
The cutest
battle, Pete?
Are you asking me this?
You brought it up.
I did. I'm sorry. Asking myself.
But Sebastian Zeitz, Connor Coffin, Matt Wilkinson and Geordie Smith surfing locally shaped boards. 4:15 this afternoon. And everyone out there, you get to judge. So a rare opportunity, and hopefully the competitors really, I think, take the opportunity to just experiment out there, have a bit of fun with it.
For sure. I mean, if the conditions hold, which the forecast from Surfline says will, you know, conditions are supposed to be offshore and beautiful and maybe even increasing in the afternoon as far as new swell making its way to this lineup. It is been a treat so far, that is for sure.
Just under 2 minutes remaining. Let's dive into the recap. Kelly Slater getting a quick start, finding a real nugget out there for a 9.1.
And this is that blueprint style of heat that Kelly likes to do, is that he likes to get that quick start, put pressure straight to the competitors, which he has done. As you see, a bit of a claim there from Kelly, which is pretty rare to see. You know, really, Julian's had to fight back. He's got himself one good score in the 7.17. This is it right here. Kelly's pretty much separated himself with that first ride, the 9.10. One thing I might take to note, though, as we watch the replay again, too, is, you know, Corona being a primary sponsor here has done a great job at activating here. Beautiful event site, and then this also the Corona Highline. But Kelly Slater, he's not doing too bad himself. He's here in big time good form.
Well, the combination of barrels and big turns has helped Kelly establish a decent lead over Julian Wilson and Kanoa Igarashi here. Julian still chasing that 9.11. He's got priority out there, so if a set rolls through, he'll get a shot at it. But with 35 seconds to go, he needs something to roll through pretty quickly. Looks like there is something coming our way. Julian's starting to make a move. Can he turn this heat around in the final stages? Slater sure hopes not. And here we go. Wilson is going to take a chance on this one. Driving down the line, deep in the barrel, still rolling. He's going to come out. So on his way, but needs to finish this right off. Needs more. Drives up onto the open face. Nice transition turn. The heat is over. Julian drifts the tail. Great control. A little caught up there, but still driving down the line. Can he get the big finish here on the inside? Whips his board into the lip once again. He pumps the fist.
It's close. Really? It's close.
There's Mom Nola, his brother Bart, watching on. What a finish.
Was that a 9? Was that a 9.1?
Kelly was shaking his head.
What do you think?
9.11. Beautiful barrel to get started.
Oh, for sure. You know, one of those barrels where you're like, I don't know if he's going to make it. And sure enough, came flying out. Were the turns strong enough at the back end of it? I mean, Kelly's barrel, definitely very similar.
Kelly's barrel was so deep. So they're making comparison to Kelly's 9.1. Have a look at this section.
So again, that first barrel with this section here, this was the impossible section. And to come out of that, I mean, you'd say that his was a little deeper as far as the barrel goes.
Kelly wins on the claim. But let's have another look at Julian's here.
So again, not the biggest set wave. That was a very tight, small barrel. And then here, very strong maneuver. Is it strong enough to keep it going through this part? I mean, this is really where it's going to be the separation. A little bit of a tap there, but again, he does get the finish. Definitely more maneuvers on this wave.
It is going to be so close. Slater's wave definitely bigger. Julian getting so much work done. A couple of big moves after the tube ride. The scores are coming through. And it is going to fall just short, an 8.67 for Julian. And he's about to get the update now.
Close.
Not too much of a reaction there from Julian. I think he knew that Kelly got a beautiful barrel ride earlier on. He knows that maybe he had that fall that probably cost him the heat, but he'll try and bounce back in the second round. But what a heat that was, a very exciting finish. Wilson giving it one last shot in the final 10 seconds of that heat. But Slater is moving on through. We've got some more big heats coming your way in the first round. Connor O'Leary, Adrian Buchan and Jack Freestone coming up next. Joe Tappel and Martin Potter will step in for the call.
Welcome back to the opening day of competition here at the Corona Open JBay, the 6th stop of the World Surf League Championship Tour. Getting into a few days of the waiting period, coming here on Saturday and finding really, really rippable conditions on this amazing right-hand point break. Joe Turpel alongside former world champ Martin Potter. Potts, really got your surfing life started up in Durban, which is a long ways away, but when you're driving in the car knowing there's perfect ways, that time will fly by. Watching Ace Buchan get this one started as he takes on Connor O'Leary and Jack Freestone. Ace will get himself down the line, already a couple of big maneuvers out the back. Clean carving work, driving deep and hard off the bottom. Ace will be able to get out of his opening ride of competition, turns around and sees the rookie Connor O'Leary answer back and go down. So Connor and Adrian Buchan both on their backhand attack. We call those goofy foots in the surfing world, surfing with their right foot forward. Jack Freestone will face the wave as he stands with his left foot forward. So another great all-Aussie clash with many different stories. Starting with the seasoned vet, Ace Buchan. He's one of those goofy foots that has made it into the quarters or better a couple of times in his career out here.
Yeah, absolutely, Joe. And I think the bigger the wave gets, the better it is for the goofy footers. It's been a tough day for them today, though, because it is quite a tricky wave. You see Connor O'Leary catching this one down towards the impossible section. Why is it called impossible? It's because it is almost impossible to make the wave. It goes so fast. You've got to keep flying down the line. There's no cutbacks on this wave. It is all down the line momentum and comes unglued at the end. So Connor O'Leary with 2 waves under his belt, a 5 and a 2.50. Ace Buchan, as you said, I love that high line, Joe. I love the way these surfers get that high line, a couple of pump turns, and then unload some big maneuvers. Ace Buchan just fitting it in, taking his time. He knows he's on a keeper right now. Relatively slow towards the back part of the last heat, so still waiting for the ocean to come alive in this heat. So once you find yourself on a good wave like this, you really don't want to make any mistakes. And Ace Buchan, one of the smartest guys out there, finishes off nicely. So a good solid score for Ace Buchan. And this is Connor's opening wave on his backhand. Finds a nice little groove. He's been out here every day practicing, as has most of the top guys. Connor O'Leary fine-tuning his skills out here. Tough wave to surf on your backhand, as we've talked about. A couple of nice turns as he builds his momentum down through the inside and then loses his balance again. So 2 waves for 2 wipeouts, a 5 and a 2.50. Joe, Ace Buchan with the pick of the bunch at the moment.
It's a great way to kick off the heat pot. 6.33 for Buchan. 5.0 start for Connor O'Leary. Jack Freestone hanging on to priority. Not for long as he's up, stalling right into the pit to kick this one off. Lets go of the wall, but won't get the completion. So Jack up and down, all fighting for that top spot to skip straight into round 3. So he'll regather himself and head back out there. Freestone just in his 2nd year full-time on the top 34. A 2-time world junior champ. Really had a standout performance when you look back to West Oz and Margaret River this year, Potts.
Yes, he tends to surf tricky waves very well. Go back to last year with the finals in Brazil with John coming off an injury. Competed at a high level, so he's got it. He's got the game to do it. Just had a little bit of bad luck, and unfortunately a bit of bad luck means bad results, and it makes it more difficult to requalify. But we talk about the difficulty of this wave, the tube ride. It's a technical tube ride. It's not one of those Chopu cloud break big wide open barrels. It's quite a tight little pocket. I was talking to Jeremy Flores as well, and he said, he wanted to get deeper on that 9-point ride that he got, but he couldn't afford to wipe off any speed because the wave was moving so quick. Couldn't afford to get too deep because then he wouldn't have made it. And that's the fine line with this wave, is getting deep enough to get the score but not too deep that you're not going to make it. Ian Gavea, same thing. I talked to him and he said he was so deep in that wave, he said he pumped as hard as and fast as he possibly could, but the wave was just too quick for him.
So impressive to really dive into all those aspects that make a great surfer at Jeffreys Bay. There's all those famous sayings talking about how, well, anyone could surf it, but not everyone could surf it well.
Yep.
The big difference that you see with Joel Parkinson, Kelly Slater, Mick Fanning, all the multiple champs, is they even between those three, they approach it differently, but they found what works for them. Mick Fanning went on to say, he's like, well, it's something you have to work out yourself.
Right.
What works for you, what scores, and you got to figure it out just by taking on the wave.
So when you look at Mick Fanning surf the wave, does he look rushed? No. When you see Joel Parkinson surf the wave, does he look rushed? No. It's almost like that they're traveling at the speed of the wave, but then the ability to pick and choose the turns at the right place at the right time is the key factor.
Really interesting to see who's found success, and early success. When you look at a contest, you'll see Sean Thompson's name next to it. Sean, what was your secret to really performing well on this wave?
Well, I think Martin really hit it on the head there, is that the best guys look unhurried, and the best guys, I think, have that gift to almost slow down time. So speed is not as, Richie Porter spoke about speed management. So it doesn't become such a critical thing. You're not like managing speed, you're just understanding the speed. And the tube rides, we were talking about the Goofies battling a little bit. I mean, Italo Ferreira got through. But tube riding, modern tube riding, is really all about the stall. The guys take off super late, stick their backsides in the wave, and they kind of just monitor their position almost with their arms, accelerating and decelerating. JBay, because the wave's so fast and the line is so high, very, very difficult backhand. You've got to go flat out speed at a really high angle, and it's complicated. When Aki had all his success back here in the 80s, Aki wasn't a backside tube guy. He was just a huge carve guy. And I think the Goofies, rather than look for the tubes, they need to look for those massive carves. I mean, look, John just demolished. I mean, sure, he had some great tubes, but his carving was just sublime in that last heat. And the Goofies, that top line is so difficult. I think carving is going to be really the only way that they're going to make an impact on this contest.
Sean, it seems to me like the guys that really do well here at Jeffreys Bay do well at Bells Beach as well. You look at Mick and Joel, and basically the best goofy footer at Bells was Aki, as is here at Jeffreys Bay. Is there any kind of similarities, you think?
Very much so. I think those goofy footers that have that huge bottom turn drive, I mean, I know Owen Wright never got through his heat, but he got a couple of waves out there where he started to get the mojo going again. Matty Wilkinson had one wave where he got the mojo going again, and I think those are the two Goofies that their styles are suited to that wide, expansive wall. They have that huge bottom turn and that really tight off the top, kind of the backside Rio old school, but still vertical and still radical and still snapping back into the lip, into the impact zone. So it's just super challenging. I mean, that's why we haven't had a Goofy win here since '84.
1984. Sean, do you remember what the waves were like? Aki made obviously a huge impression on the whole surfing world that we're still talking about today. Can you remember that event like it was yesterday?
Yeah, he made the impression actually the day before the final day, because the final day was like 3 to 4 feet non-shore. But the day before was about 6 to 8 feet, and it was really the first time that Aki, the whole world saw the Marco Calupo backside attack. And he was such a young guy. I think he was like 17 years old or 18 years old, and that one day really put him on a path to becoming one of the best in the world.
Amazing to look back in history with legendary Sean Thompson taking a win out here in 81, 77 world champ. Watching this, Jack Freestone has been going for barrels on his last 2 waves. Smaller sections, he's gone down twice. Connor O'Leary still out front with his 5. He's trying to get rid of a 2.5 on this wave. Projection snap off the roof. The rookie gets a little bit caught behind. So Connor's got to step off. He was the hero at Fiji, making a final. Always a huge statement to even just show up in a final heat of a big contest. Your first year on tour. How did he get the job done, Potts?
How did he get the job done? By picking the right waves, not overthinking the situation, not getting too carried away. Surf clean, didn't make too many mistakes. He took down some big names, and he just looked confident. He'd done a couple of strike missions to Fiji, so he did have a little bit of experience when it comes to that wave, and just believed that he could do it. And I think that's a big part of it. If you have that sense of belief, that sense of belonging, I think it goes a long way.
Really cool to see the rookies that accomplish a final. It happened a few times last year. So far, we're focusing now on Connor O'Leary in the Rookie of the Year race after a brilliant performance at Cloudbreak, calling on Louis Egan as a coach who's been successful at this wave, also JBay, and he looks powerful, solid, even going back to his quarterfinal at Snapper. Looks like he has all the tools to be a contender for a long time.
Yeah, and I think the thing too with the event this year in Fiji was it was so many different variety of conditions, wasn't it? There was barrels, there was maneuvers, so it really did test your bag of tricks. You know, you needed to have everything in order. The good tube riding stance, you needed to have good wave knowledge, and everything else had to fall into place.
Back to this one with Jack Freestone. 2 attempts in the pit, and he's gone down. Trying to look for his first exit here. He pulls in super deep. Freestone's made it clear he wants to get barreled in this heat. Unfortunately, he hasn't found the exit yet. 21.5 on the clock. Ace Buchan still second. Connor out front. How do you like Jack's game plan right now, Potts?
Questionable. You know, I think with the size of the waves at the moment, I think he's got to go back to basics. Jack's got an amazing bottom turn, top turn combo. He's got a bag of tricks as well. So I think he needs to just go back to that. You know, I think it's that whole thing of watching today. He's been sitting there for the last 3 or 4 hours, just probably losing his mind. He wants to get out there. He wants to get barreled like John and Kelly. He wants to do some big turns like Julian. But all of a sudden he's out there and he's kind of gets lost with that, just looking for the tube. It's a long wave. It's got a lot to offer. So just start going back to basics. Do some maneuvers and get the ball rolling.
Ace Buchan up. First turn off the lips. Solid. Nice bottom turn. Blows the fins out. Extend the snap is going to put him behind. Next wave is for Connor O'Leary. Clean vertical attack. Drives it hard vertically above the lip. Looking to recover off the bottom. Couple of nice smooth carves. Setup work for the inside corner, and he's out. So Connor O'Leary, couple tricky sections. Looks like he had to recover a little bit. As we always mention the word rhythm in anything. Sometimes everything's in sync. Nothing looks forced. Still threw a couple of little off-speed options. He got himself together for the finish.
Yeah, he did. You know, and he's just relying on that stock standard surfing, which I think, you know, the way the conditions are at the moment, it's not like the John heat anymore. That wind is really affecting it. The tide is moving out. So you've got to adapt, you know, and we saw that happen in Fiji. Connor did that very, very well, didn't he? All the way to the final. So this is what I'm seeing from this kid, you know. He's not going out there with one game plan. He's going out there, okay, if those barrels come my way, I'm gonna pull in, I'm gonna get one. But in the meantime, I'm gonna crack the lip as many times as I can and drop some good scores.
19:30 on the clock. Connor out front. Last heat dominated by Kelly Slater. We call him the GOAT, the greatest of all time, with 11 world titles, 55 wins, 4-time champ at JBay, including the Billabong Challenge, which would make it a 5th victory, but not at the CT standard level. So right now 4 for 4 against Mick Fanning to see who could, maybe one of them, will take the record for their own this year.
Well, we yet to see Mick Fanning surf today. Kelly Slater looks like he's in good form. And you know what it comes down to, Joe, with this guy? If the waves are good, he gets excited. He wants to do well because he wants to get out there and surf this wave with just one other guy in the water. So, you know, if it was 2 foot and onshore, I don't think we'd see that same sort of excitement out of Kelly Slater.
Come on, that was the claim we talked about. I had to do it. How did you know it was a 9 now? Well, you gotta just guess. Or did that make it? Or you make it a 9? You know,
Kelly Slater getting his part out of the way for tour notes. You'll probably see that on WorldSurfLeague.com in a moment. Going to the locker room, and you can tell he's happy about that 9+ ride.
I'll tell you what, though. There have been some nervous moments there when you heard the crowd erupt after Julian's barrel. A couple of solid turns. Julian was pretty unlucky there.
So that was a very close decision. Last wave for Julian in the 8+ range. Just short of turning the heat on the buzzer beater. Setting up already for some crazy round 2 matchups. That'll be reseeded once again. Kelly at the moment 18th in the world on the Jeep leaderboard. Really trying to get himself fired up for the back end to salvage a world title race, which will be really fun to see. But in the free surf spots, Kelly's looked real loose, really lively, looks real healthy with his physical abilities. He did the craziest layback and pulled himself back up that you wouldn't be able to accomplish if you're fighting an injury. So it looks like he's at the top of his game at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. And coming to this wave, you've got to be. You know, it's if there's anything that's not quite in check, if there's anything that's not quite right, you know, you get exposed and it's going to show. Anyone that's carrying any kind of injury, you know, it's a long wave. It demands a lot of physical ability, and if there's anything wrong with you physically, it's well, it's going to stand out like a sore thumb.
We continue to talk about the things you got to learn to perform at Jeffreys Bay. Well, sometimes before you even get out into the lineup to catch a wave, the challenge begins by paddling out. Our very own Strider Raspberry Wazalewski is on the case. Waz, have you figured out the keyholes pretty well at this stage?
I almost missed it. I ran right by it, but then I found it again. The tide is pretty low, so you know, there's usually a good channel going all the way out into the lineup, but right now there's not much, so I'm going to run out on the reef. Lucky I got my booties on, but there's all these little mussels out here and sharp rocks, and sets are kind of bombing, so I'm kind of thinking about when I'm going to make my timing to jump in. And even at the end of the keyhole there's a bunch of landmines. It's a bunch of rocks right there, Joe, so I'm probably going to, you know, maybe a couple scratches on the bottom of the board, but that's okay because the waves are pumping and I can't wait to get back out there. You know, this is the tradition of paddling out here. You come up here, get in the keyhole, jump out there, and find your way into the lineup and take position. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to walk out. I'm not going to go into the keyhole, though, because it's a little shallow over there. I'm just going to go for a walk out on the end here and well, kind of find a nice piece of reef to jump off in. And look at these waves, guys. These waves are just pumping. Look at this thing. I mean, coming around the bottom of this thing up into the lip. Bingo. Jack just feeling it right there. You know what? This is just the view from back here, too. Beautiful wall. Oh, spray everywhere. Looks like it's raining in PE back there. Look at those snaps off the top. Buckets everywhere. You can see spray flying from out the back here. Combinations. That thing just opened up for that man. Old Freestone just feeling it all the way down to the inside. And why not? What a beautiful ride. I'm going to get out there and take a look from the water.
Epic. Seeing Jack run through the inside. We'll catch you up with Strider on his attempt to smoothly make that jump right into the water. He's got the booties on, so that kind of gives you a little advantage with not worrying too much where you step. But as you know, Potts, there's sometimes when you don't have booties on and there's just one muscle that won't do anything to your foot, and then the next one slices it right open.
Yeah, you got to tread lightly, that's for sure. And you know, it's all trial and error, Joe. The more you do it, the more comfortable you become with it. I'm a big fan of going all the way around the back to boneyards, just jumping off the beach, not dealing with any of these rocks, but then coming in down the end. That's another tricky keyhole that you've got to make sure you don't miss as well. Otherwise, you can come unglued very, very easily.
It gets the trickier it gets, the bigger it gets. The swell will be getting bigger over the next couple of days. Strider light on his feet. He's been having a ball out here the last few years. I've been surfing a lot this trip as well. Opting for the booties, which you don't see too often with the guys on the top 34 these days.
No, you know, I mean, we saw Miguel Pupo wearing booties. I can't really recall too many other guys. You know, it's just that comfort zone. I think, you know, some people love it, some people don't. I think it's really hard to find a perfect set of booties, as far as I know. But I obviously drag my foot when I stand up because I trip over the toes a lot, so that time I don't wear them no matter what. No matter how cold it is, I won't wear booties.
Watching a little wave out front, Ace Bucket looking for the lead off the rookie. Always smooth. Down carve off the top. There's a nice clean backside hack from Bucket. Hits it off the roof. Nice clean transitions from the seasoned vet on tour. Parking it cleanly in the pocket. Driving through his point swell. Ace is out of there. Bucket opened up with a 6.33, so only needed a 3.57 to get the lead off O'Leary with 13:20 to go.
They're still waiting for a score to drop in for Jack Freestone, looking for an 8.90. It's going to be his best wave by far. You know, and it's going to be a light bulb moment for Jack because he's going to hear the score drop in and go, well, why wasn't I doing that from the start? I'm right in this game, you know. I've been wasting all this time. There's 13 minutes remaining. I've been looking for the tube ride. I've gone back to basics. I've gone back to surfing the wave, and I've dropped the highest single score of the heat at the moment.
And I just love the patience of Strider. He knows he doesn't have to rush. He wants to first keep his equipment solid. That's one of his favorite boards he's brought here.
Well, you can look how shallow it is there. So if you jump off at the wrong time, that water sucks away.
Fins are gone.
You end up dry docked, and yeah, the fins are gone, and your surf is over.
Oh, so just timing is everything. Light on his feet. Patience is paying off. And we'll be getting some words from him in the water in just a moment. Ace, last score, 5.10. Does take the lead. Freestone score, 6.57, the highest single score of the matchup. So now a wholly different look at heat number 9 of the opening round.
Yeah, you know, and it's, you know, Jack's just got to go back to basics. He's got to go back to this solid surfing that he can do, you know. If that barrel does come your way, then fair enough, pull in and get tube. But in the meantime, get to work, do these big carving maneuvers, combo it up with some big snaps off the lip. You know, he's got good rail game, this kid. He's a big, strong fella. And if he just sticks to the face of the wave and gets some good open face, he's going to be right in the game when this heat's over. So 6.57, the single highest score. He's only now looking for a 4.86. Ace Buchan on his, this is his 5.10, the wave that swung the heat. I mean, he's really attacking this wave, really putting a lot into his surfing, showing some variety, which is really hard to do on your backhand, comboing it up with some beautiful tight arcs in the pocket. There it is again, driving back into that foam ball. This is one of those waves that slowed up enough for him to be able to bring the board all the way around. It wasn't one of those, just those hot rod waves all the way down the line with no cutbacks in it. That was a very sort of a medium-paced one, so to speak.
Remember, he with Ace Buchan in round 4 a few years back now. 2011, he had a matchup with Jordy Smith, who was the defending champ at the time, and also Julian Wilson. Ace on the matchup was the underdog coming into that one. Ended up opening up with a 9.87 on a challenging wave on his back, and all the Goofy Foots jumped up and celebrated on tour. And he stole that one off the Superstars to go straight into the quarterfinals. You start loving Buchan's post-heat interviews around that time. He has the confidence, he believes in himself. He's won 2 championship tour events. So he's ready to add another one to his mantle with big names coming up. Gabriel Medina, 2014 world champ, coming up next here at the Corona Open. JBay, we'll be right back. Welcome back to Jeffreys Bay. You're still in round 1, heat number 9. Connor O'Leary gliding in right after we come from a quick break, and he's going to go down. The long ride that you dream of at Jeffreys Bay cut short for Connor O'Leary, going for a big backside hack, still chasing a 6.43 to take the lead off Ace Buchan. Jack Freestone's turn now. Big wind-up, huge carve. Draws it off the top, nice and clean. There's his barrel option he's been waiting for. This time it's part of a combo. Layback hack off the lip for Freestone. Big swing in the pocket. He's liking that one. Knows it felt good, and he wants the lead. Had a 6.57 before, and he knew that one felt just a bit better, Potts. Let's have a look.
Yeah, well, that smile was because he finally made a barrel. He's been looking for it the entire heat, and let's have a look. But I really love that first turn. We talk about how he's got rail game. I mean, that was just a little slice of it. Another nice turn there. Finds himself a nice little cover up, and again just comboed it up with something different, a little bit of layback in that one, and then another carving maneuver. So beautiful right there from Jack as he looks back and smiles and said, I finally made one. Thank you very much. 7.17, and now he finds himself in the lead. So the first part of the heat, 0.87, 0.5, and a 1. Now he's finally found a couple of maneuvers which has really boded well for him. A 6.57 and a 7.17. So slowly build his momentum, finds himself in the lead with 7 minutes to go.
Really impressive for Jack Freestone. Started off hunting those small little barrels and then opened it up with back-to-back scores to change this one around. Taking the lead off the Goofy Foots for the first time in this heat. Ace down to second, needs a 7.41, and Connor needs an 8.74 to take the lead. Freestone had a very close end of the season to requalify. Came down to Sunset Beach. Got the final spot on the qualifying series to make it his second year on the top 34. This year, the clear goal is to requalify in the top 22 on the championship tour. And he's had some great success. He's already had a final behind him. Still waiting for his first win. And now with the lead here, he's heading a positive direction in this matchup.
Yeah, he's come close, and I think he's, I think he belongs on tour. This kid, I think he's great. He's a dual junior world champion. He's had some fantastic results. He surfs incredible. He's got a bag of tricks as good as any. He's a big, strong kid, and on top of that, Joe, you know how that feels. He's just about to be a new dad.
What a feeling. Big congratulations to both Jack Freestone and Alana Blanchard. Alana, remember, was on the top 17 for a few years, absolutely ripping. And now they're celebrating the news that they're going to have a baby boy later on in the year.
If you had any advice to give him, what would you say?
Holy smokes. Hang on, smile, enjoy it all. It just is the best feeling in the entire world. I actually talked to Jack this morning, and he just is jumping up and down, just can't wait for this amazing moment in his life. And I think since we've kind of had the news broken that they're celebrating this, he's had some great waves. There's a new healthy energy about him. Such a great person. He's got a huge heart, and he's always gonna be looking forward to being a great dad.
Joe, you got a bit of pep in your step too, by the way.
Good man, Potts. Watching this one is Ace Bucket. Highline wrap into the pocket. There's the carve. Driving it off the top again, and now looking to keep this beautiful tempo nice and solid down the line. Another huge jam for Ace. And he's just going to let that one breathe. Looks at the panel and says, hey, you're going to throw me that 7.41 to take the lead.
Well, I think, is it better than the 6.33 at the beginning of the heat? I think 6.33, the wave was bigger, a bit more open face, maybe more dynamic moves on the smaller one, but so we'll have to wait and see where this one fits in. Opens up nicely, just carving back into the power source, waiting for it to stand up. Now it does again, that same sort of maneuver. And again, so 3 very similar turns right there for Ace. Now he goes vertical. That was better for Ace Bucket. And again, another jam in the pocket. So, and then rides it out. I don't know, I'm still thinking that 6.33 was better.
Ace always kicking out with confidence. One of the most well-prepared athletes on the top 34. He's often was involved with all those hard decisions as a surfer's rep before we had the commissioner's office. Always one of those guys that people go to for advice or strategic strategies. He's got a great head on his shoulders. It's kind of like this outside force, maybe, of the Micro Surf Academy, since they're all best friends. When Glenn Micro Hall and Ace were qualifying, they often worked together. As we see Jack still out in front, and Ace looking for the score of 5.10.
Have a look at this.
With more waves on the way. Looks like with priority, we're going to see the rookie try to get the lead back. It'll need to be an 8.74 to get the switch into first. Already off to a great start. Nice sync with the start of this wave, and picking off a wave with a great tempo. Rips it off the coping. Chasing the inside corner, he'll step off. Now Jack Freestone flying down the line. It's opening up. All he's wanted to do is park it in the barrel. He makes this one. Nice off the top again. Deep bottom turn and a full wrap to combo it up. Jack is feeling it as he jams it off the roof a few more times. Still more to give, right into the flats.
Wow, what an exchange. The backside versus frontside conversation continues. Connor O'Leary looking for a massive 8.74. Jack Freestone looking to replace a 6.57. I think Jack's done that, so that 8.74 is going to be a little bit more.
Quick check of the fins. It gets so shallow there on those finishing moves, and it is so tough to land on your feet. We see a lot of falls on that inside corner just due to the fact that you're running out of water. Let's see what happened here.
Yeah, let's have a look at Jack Freestone's second wave of the set. First turn, nice gouging maneuver. Releases the fins a little bit, almost lost it. Comes off the bottom, critical lip ride, and now he finds the barrel, drives up into the section, pulls in nice and tight, comes out nice and clean. Through the inside section, what's he got? Another little tail tap drop off the bottom, hooking into that last turn there from Jack Freestone. A couple of more turns here, just some bonus stuff through the inside, and very important, finish on your feet, which he does. So Jack Freestone looking to replace a 6.57. Scores in the meantime coming through for Ace Buck, and a bit of a mixed bag on the as far as the judges go.
A 7.33 for Ace Bucket.
Everything from a 6.8 up to an 8 on that occasion. So 7.33, not enough, so Ace still in second spot.
So keeping things very close. Freestone still had his lead when he took off on that wave. Connor O'Leary's last is 6.0, and we're into the final minute here. Ace is asking for the situation update. He has first priority and a little bit of time on the clock. JBay tends to be a spot where you really know what you're in store for almost a couple of minutes out at times when you look out the back.
Well, there's a bunch of indicators, right? You've got obviously boneyards where the waves are going to hit first, but then even further down the line you've got a spot called magnitubes, which it's going to hit there about a minute and a half before it actually gets down here. So you've got a bunch of little indicators, but have a look at that score from Jack Freestone. Was that the nail in the coffin?
8.83 for Jack. Started off slow, getting some small barrels, and it just worked him into a rhythm. Went to a 6.57, a 7.17, now an 8.83. And it looks like he's going to run out the clock. What started off as a goofy foot battle for the lead in the first half of the heat, Jack Freestone completely steals the show.
Wow.
And finished with a bigger barrel than what he was looking for to start. Freestone thrilled to be moving on into round 3.
Great surfing from Jack, and you know, that's that whole game plan change. So important, you know, to be able to go out there and go, okay, it's barreling, I want to get some tube rows. Halfway through the hit, he hadn't made a wave yet. Was able to change that up, have the sense of mind to slow things down, to recalibrate, to go back to basics and pull out a win. Great stuff there from Jack. That's called maturity.
Really impressed to see what he's been turning in so far this year in 2017. He's made one final in his career, but looking for his first major victory on the top 34. Coming up next, former world champ Gabriel Medina takes on Coyote Belly and Stu Kennedy right after this. Welcome back to round one, heat number 10 here at the Corona Open, JBay. This heat is led by a headliner named Gabriel Medina, the first Brazilian world champ. Created history back in 2014, and it was an incredible year. He's been fighting for his second world title ever since. And we'll see how he takes on this matchup against Caio Ibelli, a man that he met in the King of the Groms contest when they were just little kids. Now Caio into his second season on tour, taking the Rookie of the Year honor last year. And also Stu Kennedy, the famous wild card that went the distance, getting a call up due to the injuries we had on tour. How was that feeling last year with Stu and Seabass coming into play and running with it for a complete season on the top 34? Now Stu's back, ready to compete, and this wave at JBay is one of the waves you just can't wait to see Stu take off on.
Yeah, well, coming from Lennox Head, a right-hand point break, Stu's going to be feeling right at home. Caio Ibelli, his breakthrough performance this year at Bells Beach, made the final up against Geordie Smith. I thought surfed very mature through that event. Great stuff from him, but Gabriel Medina, I mean, he's just one of those X-Factor guys where, you know, you just don't know what's going to happen with him. He's been surfing incredibly well in the free surfs, Joe. Looks like he's got some good boards under his feet. I think he's ready to rock and roll.
Exciting to watch Gabriel Medina's approach. We talk about the new school factor that he brings to the table, and he also throws that down at JBay. Some of his best highlights have been above the lip as well. King of spontaneity. He has that unpredictable factor, and he's been ruling the late A sessions right out here at Supers, putting a lot of time in as well. He was able to turn the season around following his world title, really kicked that off at JBay, so he knows he has a long year ahead of him. Stu Kennedy's going to kick this one off. Nice carved tail release for the Australian to get this one started. Vertically down the line, lay back, blow tail, just to show that he could do anything on demand. Now flowing through a top turn wrap. Great tempo to Stu's attack on this one through the inside, blows the tail out and explodes with a solid finishing move in front of the bricks.
Wow, that's some variety right there. Some pizzazz, some X factor. And he's going to need it, that's for sure. But look how shallow it is as Stu Kennedy dances over the rocks to get back out. That's called commitment there, riding the wave to the bitter end. There was no holding back there, was there, Joe?
You love that risk factor out of Stu's game where he'll blow the fins out, especially at a wave at JBay where it could easily run off without you.
Tell you what, though,
risk involved.
Sorry, he doesn't lack any confidence, though, does he?
Love having conversations with Stu about all things surfing. He's an honest person. He can let you know how he's feeling about scores, about the competition. Let's see how he did on this first move again.
Well, just a smaller wave there. So just wants to get that ball rolling, you know, identifying that it's slowing down. Beautiful opening maneuver for Stu Kennedy. You can see almost triple pumps off the bottom through the lip. This is where he starts to lose the fins. Right there. How is that there for control? Gets that slide, yet still keeps that down the line momentum, which is really unique for Stu Kennedy. That's just growing up on a point break and being able to do that. Just get that sliding momentum, but then still keeping that momentum down the line, finishing off nicely blown. The fins out. Stu Kennedy, good way to start.
7.0 for Stu and the lead. As we count the variety of maneuvers here, basically every single strike he gave us something different.
Yeah, he did. You know, right there, I love that turn, but then still has that down the line momentum, and you know, kind of takes his time as well. You can see he doesn't do that one big drawn out bottom turn, does he? He does a couple of little check turns, bump, pump, pump, and then hooks into it. But yeah, just total commitment here from Stu Kennedy. Nice little opening wave, a beautiful confidence builder. You can see there just replacing the weight over the front foot, letting those fins slide and then re-engaging them. So great stuff there from Stu Kennedy to the tune of a 7.0. So great surfing from the young Aussie. More sets coming through out the back as Stu Kennedy finishes replay off. Look at that beautiful lineup here at JBay. It's got to be one of the best shows on the earth, isn't it, Joe?
Definitely. Caio Ibelli knows that. That's why he was trying to work really hard to come back from injury. So he'd be ready to take on this amazing point break. Caio's been talking about feeling some pain through some free surfs, grabbing the ankle right there. There's always that hard decision to make when you hurt something like an ankle, which you need everywhere you go in the world, especially at JBay. When do you take a break? When do you miss events? Because that hurts as well. But you can see him already reaching for it on his first wave, and talking to me the other day, he said every time he basically gets up, he's feeling the pain.
Yeah, which kind of surprises me that he's actually surfing. You know, we've got injury wildcards in place for a reason. You know, this could be, you know, I don't know, going for it out here, you could do permanent damage to it. You know, ankles, so many tendons involved in the ankle, it takes a long time to recover. The more stress and strain you put on it, when it's not 100%, could be, you know, definite more damage done. So my advice to him would be very careful.
And you have a lot of resources these days on the championship tour to work it out and make sure you're ready to compete. We remember last season, Mick Fanning was making his big comeback to JBay, and then he hurt his ankle in the lead up. And something like an ankle, when you have to surf through, get extra work done on it. Mick was saying the pain went away just a couple of months ago from that ankle injury. It's just something that just continues to be sore, that you're always maintaining. Parko had a long ankle injury where he just had to deal with it, learn how to surf around it, and the main thing was knew how to take care of it when you're not in the water.
Yep. Don't do anything silly, that's for sure.
So Kyle, not the usual warm-up before an event where he spends about 12 hours a day in the lineup. He's been forced to watch, and we'll see how his approach continues. He's one of those exciting rookies last year. Remember, one of 7 new faces on tour last season. He was the last man standing when it came to that Rookie of the Year honor.
Yeah, well-deserved too. Well-deserved. I'm a real big fan of the way this kid surfs. Just really solid, no mucking around. Good in the barrel, charges, not scared. Rail, so he's kind of that kind of coffin mold, isn't he, really?
Little opportunity now, drifting underneath for Kyle. He's got a lot of speed down the line. Hard off the bottom and controls that top turn carve. Rebounds it off the lip. Fighting hard for a score through the pain. Little layback draw off the top for Kyle, and he's out of there. 193 start. Kyle fighting for that solid score. Remember, Kennedy already has a 7.0.
A bit of a comeback wave, and you know, let's hope that the ankle warms up and he can start loosening up a little bit. But there's definitely a little bit more intent on that wave. You can tell pumping down the line. He's waiting for it here as he draws off the bottom, driving into that turn, holding the rail through that maneuver was beautiful for Kyle. Again, releasing the fins on that occasion, so showing some variety, keeping that board moving. But the thing with surfers that are injured, Joe, every time they take off, you kind of cringe, don't you? You're kind of waiting for something to go wrong, and it's just one of those things.
Did well to control the rail, to push hard through those points. Kai was looking for a 5.08 to take the lead, so we could see that change in just a moment here. Kai Belli from Sao Paulo in Brazil. Spends a lot of time traveling around the world. Longtime girlfriend, Alessa Quizon, also one of the best surfers in the world. She's looking to come back to requalify for the top 17. And he will take the lead pots, 5.67, just enough to get in front of Stu there. Meanwhile, Medina, scoreless, waiting with priority for his first strike. Let's take a moment to catch up with 11-time world champ Kelly Slaters with Rosie Hodge.
Well, Kelly Slater, another fantastic heat for you. Obviously, this place has a special place in your heart. What makes this place so incredible?
Oh, God, everything. I mean, it's beautiful. Just brisk weather, great waves, long walls. You know, a lot of speed on the wave. You don't really have to find speed, you know. If anything, sometimes you're even brushing it off to try to, you know, fit the turn in right. But it's fantastic when the tide's low and there's a nice little wall in the swell. And this was surprising. I didn't think we were going to be surfing today. I woke up this morning in the dark. It looked a little slow, and I thought, we'll probably wait till the swell builds in tomorrow. But now we got about 4 or 5 really good days ahead to kind of pick the eyes out of it, and I think we'll have a great contest.
And I can't not ask you about the claim. What inspired that?
We were talking about it before, and I was with PK and a bunch of guys, and we were just talking about claims, and we were saying like a little salt, throw a little salt on it maybe. And then PK said, "Oh, if you do one, you gotta do that one." So I said, "All right, if I get a good one, I'll do it." And then I came out of that tube, I'm like, "Oh yeah, I forgot. I haven't claimed in a while."
So you're like, oh, that felt pretty good. I might just unleash this.
Yeah. I didn't think, there was like 2 times in that tube I didn't think I was going to make it. It kept kind of grabbing me and then opening and let me get some speed. So it was fun. I actually probably should have done another turn there. I probably wouldn't have been so stressed about Julian getting the score at the end there had I really finished that wave off.
Well, let's talk about Julian's last wave. I mean, so close to flipping it on you there. So, you know, nervous moments for you at all?
So I didn't think it had a chance because it was such a small wave. I mean, they like the big waves. He was still a half point short. You know, I was surprised they were taking so long, to be honest, because even Kanoa came over. He's like, "Nah, that wave is way too small. There's no way they'll give it." But the crowd went nuts, and I didn't see the ride. Obviously, it was a good tube.
And you know, timing is so important out here. Saw on social media that you say you like to channel different people surfing on your waves. So how do you make that split-second decision when you're choosing your turns out here?
I don't know. I think you kind of make it beforehand. You know, you get your mind in a certain place to kind of feel the type of surfing you want to do. You know, do you want to be real, you know, just throw all the power you can into it and be fast, or do you want to kind of like be cruisy and then just fit those turns in where they make sense? You know, I think JBay is about pacing yourself, and it's not, you don't want to get stuck behind, but you don't want to look frenetic. You know, you want to look like you're fitting in with the speed and the curve of the wave. So. And
what about a switch foot wave channeling Aki?
I suck backside switch foot. I can go goofy foot left a little bit, but I can't go right. I'm terrible.
All right, well, we can't wait to see what you do in round 3. Well done.
Always great to hear from Kelly Slater. The other day surfing, he said he was channeling so many different legends of the sport. Everyone came back and said, well, they're trying to channel you every time they take off on a wave. He's a 4-time JBay champ, looking for a 5th title to break the record with Mick Fanning. You can always tell when Kelly's in a good place. He's just smiling all the time, having fun, and even throwing a claim, something he never does, just for fun.
Yep.
And continue on with that momentum. This is Stu Kennedy. Already punching out the lip to kick it off. Nice rapid cutback to fill in the gaps well. Clean vertical re-entry for the Australian from Lennox Head. A lot of glide and flow off that surfboard. Now trying to run through the inside to finish. Clean float, still with some room. So earning that one, he's out of there. Had the 7 before that, so Kennedy's back in the lead.
Yeah, Stu Kennedy, well, not needing much. 0.6 to take the lead. Kaya with the 5.67 and just a 1.93, a smaller score, just about to drop for Kaya Belly as well. Gabriel Medina, a quick little in and out. 3 points for Kaya, so that shoves him back into the lead. Stu Kennedy now needing a 1.67. As we see up and riding the young Aussie. Let's have a look at this wave here from Stu. Jams it up through the lip there. Beautiful maneuver from Stu Kennedy. Draws off around the bottom. What's he got for us? Nice little slash back, just waiting for it. You can see, just keeping that foot on the pad, on the tail pad. Stu Kennedy, not one of those guys that moves up and down the board. Once he gets his feet planted in one spot, that's pretty much it. Moves up and down the pad just a little bit there as he comes around the section and finishes off nicely. So Stu Kennedy looking to get back into that first spot, put a little bit of pressure back on Kaya Belly and extend his lead over Gabriel Medina. So Gabriel Medina very, very quiet here at the moment. 19.5 remaining.
When conditions are this rippable, you can't help but get excited when Kennedy locks in. He became world famous as the wild card that went all the way to the semifinals on the Gold Coast last season, doing big grab rail, full rotation reverses on the open face, and made no mistakes all the way till that semifinal. Since then, he's kind of been looking for that repeat venue where he has that same kind of momentum and domination. The guy that wasn't ever afraid to experiment with equipment with Daniel Thompson, working out some really incredible surfboards, now under the Kelly Slater surfboard brand.
Oh my, Joe. This is one of the biggest sets we've seen in a little while. Who's just marching around the corner. And the man in line with that P next to his name, Gabriel Medina.
Gabriel Medina has been waiting a long time to get started. Now at the 18-minute mark, it's his first wave. Long lip line float. Really needs to get going to get another maneuver in. Throws it up vertically. Jams it off the coping again. Another big snapping re-entry with a big free fall. Late hits the float and ends up on his feet. Some surfers want to get moving early in the heat and get started. Medina shows that he can wait patiently for a bomb to come through. That thing really stretched out in front of him quickly. Strider, how'd that look for you?
Are you kidding? That backhand attack, I was pumped on that. I love seeing Medina and his pace and his patience that he just took to find that wave. Definitely the best wave of the heat that's come through. It had the perfect wall on it. He raced down the line after a big hit and then found himself with a perfect platform to just tag that thing. I mean, right up into it. Absolutely a beautiful wave here as you watch the replay off the bottom. Bingo! Then comes down for another one, straight back up into it again. Just, you know, from the water, we could see fins and tail as he drops back in right there. Reconnects back up into it for a finish. So that really beautiful work right there from Medina. And I'm always a fan of the backhand attack. He's been on fire in the warm-up sessions. One of the best guys in the water, forehand or backhand. I mean, his technique right here is just incredible, where he's actually thrashing into the lip, throwing the tail, falling out. That wave had a perfect pace for him on the inside, which is, you know, rare to find that wave that actually lets you go up into the lip and throw the tail out like that, come back in, reconnect, and then have it waiting for you again. So Gabriel finding a really amazing wave right there to perform on.
Good man, Strider, getting to see it right in the water, performing down the line. Medina on the backhand can mix it up quickly with progressive maneuvers. That one just fitting to the pace of the wave. Big float, which was a really committed maneuver. He needed it to cover some ground. And then just some hammers in the pocket to get his first score on the board.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you know, to be honest with you, I thought that first maneuver was probably the best maneuver of the wave. And then the rest of it, to me, a little bit off time. The last turn kind of forced the issue, but in saying that, he surfed the wave as good as you could have. It was definitely the biggest set wave we've seen in quite some time. Definitely that first maneuver was, for me, the pick of the bunch.
Gabriel Medina turns in an 8.9. Had a 1.77 before that. So he waited for a while to really get something of serious consequence on the board. Stu Kennedy's out front. Kiowa Belly now needs a 7.93 to make a comeback with 15.43 to go. So Medina looking for his first final out here, his first win, but he's had consistent results. Repeat quarterfinal berths. Now this is his fourth start in his career. Already a world champ. One of the most feared draws on the top 34, and for good reason.
No matter what the conditions are like, that's for sure. This man is one to watch. A definite worthy world champion. This, to me, was the best maneuver of the wave, up and over the top. Kind of got stuck behind the section there, waiting for it, waiting for it. Now he hits the lip there. Could have connected a bit better. It was kind of more of a safety turn. Now he goes to town. That was a little bit better again. Nice little snap off the top there, and then a little bit mistiming it. Didn't quite get the pizzazz off the top that I was waiting for from Gabriel Medina. So 8.90. Wow.
Solid score for Gabriel Medina. Puts him into second. Now just looking for a 4.7 to take the lead off Stu. Still plenty of time here on the clock. Talk about the Goofy Foots, hoping to break that streak since Aki won the championship tour level out here back in '84. Another Goofy Foot that won, that's here on hand. He's coaching Connor O'Leary. Luke Egan, he won a specialty event out here, the Dream Sequence, where the prize was winning a plot of land here at Jeffreys Bay, which Luke said yesterday morning that he still has today.
Yep, he still has it. Why wouldn't you?
Yeah. Pull up at your lot and remember all those great memories.
I'd build a house and live here if I was Luke.
Oh, yeah.
Not a bad place to live, let me tell you. Good food, nice people. One of the best waves in the world.
More could you ask for?
Right.
Well, one man that really turned around a heat quickly in the last effort, Jack Freestone, took it over and moved straight to round 3. Jack's with Rosie Hodge.
Well, Jack Freestone, that was so much fun to watch. I mean, just looking at, you know, the spray on your surfboard, the old school logo, are you channeling anyone specific out here at Super Tubes or any past performances?
Oh, not really, no. My friend gave me that sticker and I just thought it's going to suit JBay so perfectly, and yeah, I think it does.
And as we get on later through the day, I mean, you've watched a few heats. Obviously, the waves have continued to pump. So how do you contain that froth before you hit the water?
I had to leave the event, to tell you the honest truth, because anticipation was killing me. I just went back to my house down the way and went for a little wiggle and then just came back, and I couldn't even keep my eyes on the ocean because I was just getting too excited. So it's basically just stepping away from it for a minute.
And to come away with 2 good scores, that's got to be validating that the judges are appreciating what you do on the waves.
Yeah, it's that or the sticker or the spray. I'm not too sure. No, but it's really cool. Yeah, the waves are so good. Obviously, today has been nothing short of amazing. So it's been awesome being a part of it.
And you know, Jack, we're super happy for yourself and your lady Alana expecting your first child. Does that change your perspective at all?
Maybe plays anything. Like a little bit of dad strength, maybe. No, I'm so excited. Myself and Alana are expecting a son in November, and we're so excited.
We can't wait to meet the little guy, and we can't wait to see more performances like that from you. Well done, Jack.
Always great to hear from Jack Freestone. He touched on a topic that is very common among the world's best, of over-amping, getting too excited when the waves are pumping. Taj Burrow used to stay right in front of the supers every single year, and if he didn't have a heat right away, sometimes it would just make him a little bit crazy. He wanted to surf so bad where you could almost be mentally surfed out before your heat gets underway. So a smart move for Jack, just to take a little break, surf down the point. You can't even hear the beach announcers, and get back into game time, and it really paid off for him.
And talking about down the point, you can see right there, those waves all the way down there. So many places to go and hide away and get a couple of waves. Obviously, it is the weekend here, so a few more guys out in the water than normal, but Monday to Friday, it's pretty much empty down that way.
And it's going to be absolutely packed for this next matchup, because one of the best of all time at JBay, the defending champ, Mick Fanning, takes the lineup next with Seabass San Juan Duru. We'll be right back.
Every other world champion has finished at least in the quarterfinal in this event.
Welcome back to the Corona Open. JBay, Medina flying down the line and enjoying the sweet sounds of Jeffreys Bay through this inside corner. Driving hard through the inside section, and he closes that one out in a solid way to improve on a 1.77. Needed a 4.70 to take the lead off Kennedy. Lots is always so interesting when you see Medina try to control the start to get the best wave. Oftentimes it's hard to get one off him, but I enjoy when he doesn't have priority. Takes little waves and really creates some magic.
Yeah, he does. You know, I think obviously when things don't go your way in the beginning as you'd like to, you know, you've got to hit the reset button. Gabriel Medina, one of the best at that, you know, finding momentum, finding more groove. I think his timing on this wave was way better than that first 8.90 that he got. It wasn't as good a wave, but I think just his timing, his maneuver choice, I think everything was a little bit more on point right there. Obviously the 8.9, due to the fact that it was probably one of the bigger waves we've seen, the judges like that. They want to see you on those bigger waves. That last wave is not going to go up to that 8.90, but just the surfing he did on it just sends to me that his timing is back. He's back on it. This next wave is going to be good for him.
Oftentimes you think of Medina, you think of all those big heavy water waves that he's won, and Tahiti, he's made finals at Pipeline, he's won Fiji, all those serious waves of consequence. And some of those early wins, remember a win he had in San Francisco when he was 17, he went right the entire time and did do a single aerial in the final. Watching Stu, he's already has some speed to burn. Let's see how he uses it here. Clean hook out front, deeper bottom turn, Nice vertical in the pocket. Kennedy fighting for the lead. Big whip off the top for the Australian. Jams it off the coping again. He can beat every section here at JBay. He still has a little bit of room towards the bricks. He'll kick out of there. Now Medina flying down the line into the pit. This one's running through impossibles. Can he pull off a miracle and make the exit? Gabriel Medina, so deep it looked impossible, comes out standing tall.
That's why it's called Impossibles, Joe. Right? Right there. Thank you very much. Wow, that lip clipped him in the head as well, so that would have wiped off a fair bit of speed. That would have shoved him deeper than he would have liked to have been, but in saying that, it actually was worked out good for him. Oh my. I think we've got a different camera angle on that for sure, don't we?
Very impressive to see Medina with the speed that he gathered through the inside. He already had his momentum from his 7.23 in the lead. Let's have another look here.
Well, this was kind of on the way back out. Kaya Belli missed this one out the back, so Gabriel Medina picking this one up sort of halfway out. A couple of nice turns. She comes off the bottom. Nice snap right there. You can tell the timing and everything. Right here, bang, clips him in the head. But still drives through that section. Driving. Is he going to come out? Of course he does. Gabriel Medina. Super freak. That is why we love watching Gabriel Medina surf. He's a, well, no matter what it is, Joe, 2-foot shore break, 12, 15 foot Chopu, cloud break, you name it. This kid has got game for it. And Medina, 8.9, 7.23, took the lead with that wave prior. Where is this one going to fit in?
And also coming into this event outside the top 10 picture. Interesting to see how the Australians have kind of taken over that feeling in the top 10. 5 Aussies in the top 10, 1 Brazilian at the moment. Those are the most represented surfers on tour. The most Australians just next to them, 10 Brazilians on the top 34. The 2 world champs in Medina and Adriano de Souza. De Souza at the moment an equal 3rd on the Jeep leaderboard. And we remember the comeback run for Medina in 2015 where he kicked off his comeback here at Jeffreys Bay with that quarterfinal.
He was 20th in the world coming into Jeffreys Bay, and he left this place with an absolute truckload of momentum. Found himself back in that world title race, so there's no time or place to write Medina off, that is for sure. He is one to watch.
77 world champ Sean Thompson on hand for the call. Sean, we saw Medina be extra selective getting his first wave halfway through this heat. What's happened since then?
Well, it was so interesting to see him just sit and wait and wait and wait and wait, and then he paddled all the way back from that long ride he had, that 8.9, and Stu Kennedy and Kaya had first and second priority. He paddled way up the point, he paddled on the inside, and this whole heat turned on him getting that one smaller ride that he rode all the way as his backup wave, kicked out. On the way back out, he got that wave. So he's a predator in the water. It's like he makes stuff happen. He's not just going to sit there and let the heat drift by. I mean, once he made that selection of that first wave, he knew that he had to pick up the pace, and he did just that. The guy is he never stops hunting.
Well, Sean, he just locked in a 9.93 for that last effort, back in first with a massive total. Stu down to second, third is Kaya Belli. Sean, we talk about a lot of Medina's strengths in the water and what he does for performance. You were able to surf with him on the lay day the other day, and you're bringing up his impressive ability to never miss a wave. This guy is a phenomenal athlete as we watch this wave again.
Yeah, what's interesting is that he just seems like he's like hungry. He's never got enough waves. He's never got enough wins, which is, I think, what a champion needs. And also, he has this uncanny ability to seldom fall. You know, he's very self-aware. He's very self-possessed. He knows exactly how connected he is on his board in relation to the ocean. So the guy's got nerves of steel, and he's got that hunter ferocity. And it was great to see how that whole heat turned on him realizing I need a second backup. I caught a wave under priority, and that put me in the perfect position to get that last wave. I think it was a 9-3 or whatever. The guy just doesn't stop, man. He's an animal.
Really impressive to see how a surfer can intimidate their competitors before the heat starts. Sean, for you in history, who are some of the guys that had that intimidation factor before the horn even sounded?
Well, with us, there was always, Wayne Rabbit, Bartholomew, Mark Richards. They were always very strong mentally. They had incredibly strong attitudes, incredibly strong inner will. So those were the guys that, I loved to surf with them, but they were always very tough to surf with because they'd seldom make mistakes. And I think Medina has this sort of aura about him just in free surf sessions, just, that I'm going to get the wave. And it's just great to see an athlete exude that type of ferocity.
Sean, you were pretty scary to surf against as well, mate, by the way.
That was a long time ago. I buried that aspect of my personality. Sometimes.
Sometimes,
Loving
exactly.
the insight from Sean Thompson, 77 world champ, watching the jam and the open face from Kaiwa Belly to get barreled. Down carve, and then packs it. A tough section to try to get that thing to open up on. And Kaiwa's down. Still a big combo to come back from. The 993's combo at Stu Kennedy as well, with now a minute 55 to go. There's always those waves that you can predict in motion that they could be a 10, and that one with that element of surprise with them being so deep through impossibles, speaking to its name, and he popped out the other end. Stu's chance now just to get a warm-up wave for the second round. There's that grab rail, throw tail he's got on demand. He's going to leave him behind now. So a couple of solid 7s for Stu. Looks fresh, board looks good. Let's see where his momentum goes in the second round.
Yeah, I think he's looking great. I thought he was really going to push Medina, but that's the thing with Medina. That's why we love watching this kid surf, because you just never know what's going to happen. He's had some average heats so far this year, and this is definitely not one of those average heats, is it? This is an excellent heat from Gabriel Medina. I think so far the second highest two-wave total behind John. Just looking in that same sort of form, and something about Jeffreys Bay that gets the juices flowing for this kid. And maybe it's that halfway point in the year where he just goes, he clicks it into another gear, and he waits to see what everyone throws at him. And then he goes, all right, this is what I got to do, and he goes out and does it. It's interesting to see what motivates athletes, even if they don't necessarily do it consciously, but what gets him really going with his confidence to fire back to compete. This is Stu again. Just showing off that board is solid. I love how he floats and almost gets his fins out on his bottom turns. How does he get that slide and still the drive at the same time? It baffles me.
Medina playing around on this inside corner. He'll throw a little regular foot section. I think Medina, along with Italo, two of the best at going switch. That one didn't really give him too much left, but we got to see a lot from the former world champ. An 8.9 and 993, one of the highest combined totals of the day. Stu and Kyle will be sent to round 2 to compete later on in the waiting period. Round 1 continues. Mick Fanning is coming up next. We'll bring in Ronnie Blakey and Peter Mel for the call.